There's this book by David R. Hawkins called Power versus Force. And they actually measure the calibration between like shame and suffering and fear and guilt and anger all the way up to like pride. Then you move into love, unconditional love, and then peace. And they vibrate at different levels. You're literally stuck. There's this glass ceiling that's really low, and you're stuck in this energetic vibration that's so low that you can't break out of this thing. And sometimes you have to have a breakdown in order to surrender, to have a breakthrough.
I would like to give you Keith Kalfas.
What's up? Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome, buddy.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? So I want to talk about 5 P's of personal development. And these are things that are very near and dear to my heart, and I want to tell you some stories. And if we have time at the end, if anybody has any questions about YouTube or building their social media growth, we can do Q&A, and I'm really excited about that too. But the 5 P's are presence, pride, pressure, persistence, and power. And the first one is presence, and I want to get started with that. Everybody say, I'm here. Everybody say, I'm here. I'm here. That's presence. When you're right here, right now. Live events are where you go to get your life changed. It's been really tough over the last year with the COVID thing and everybody locked in their house. And anybody can attest to that, not getting out to these live events. But I remember so many times when I was online about to buy a ticket for a convention, and then my excuses got in the way, and I didn't want to drive across the country or fly across the country, and I did it anyway. And then I met one guy or one person or even a group of guys I sat down having a dinner with, and that very conversation changed my life. I found myself at 1 a.m, like leaving a restaurant with a group of guys in tears, literally, having the breakthrough, transformational conversation that made me go back home a different man. Anybody here have that? That's what live events are about, so that's why we have to get here. But there's some things that get in the way, and it's our ego and our pride. That's the second thing, is pride. I'm going to tell you a story back in a couple years ago, 2018, I was at an event in Seattle, and I had the opportunity to speak there as well as about social media, but I was also coming as an attendee and a student to learn. And frankly, everybody else in the room had a bigger business than me, they made more money than me, and they had their shit together. But because I was there and I knew some stuff about social media and I got to speak, my pride and my ego, just like anybody here in the room, you guys have been through the grit, you've been through the trenches, and you know what it's like to build a business from the ground up. You know what it's like to struggle and suffer, and when you get some scars and war paint, and you get basically some money in the bank, when you finally get it together, our pride finally goes up, and we get to this point where we come to a live event like this, and we'll be in a conversation with somebody, and we'll be so stuck on thinking about what's going on in our head, or how we're being perceived, or how do we look, or we're wanting to talk so much that we forget to put the student cap on. I don't care if anybody here has a 6-figure business or a 7-figure business, it's still time to be a student, because there's people in this very room that you can have those very same conversations with, that you can walk away totally changed. The answers that you want to get are here. And for me, back in 2018 in Seattle, I was there to get my life changed, yet my pride was in the way. So every time somebody in the room, in these group panels we had, they started talking about marketing, it was so immature of me. I kept raising my hand, or I wanted to butt into the conversation, and I wanted to talk about what I knew because I thought I had the answers. I was just so excited. That's all. I had no bad intentions or anything. And at break time, I go outside and I stand by the water, and my friend Quentin, he's out there. He's looking over the water. Quentin came with me. And Quentin takes me to the side, and he's one of my best friends, and he goes, "Hey, Keith, I don't want to say this the wrong way, and I'm looking out for you as your brother, and I don't want to hurt your feelings. But some of the people in the room in the conference are throwing you shade." I'm like, "Throwing me shade? What's that?" He says, "Well, some people are looking at you funny." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I didn't want to say this, but you're my brother, and you're coming across as a know-it-all. Like, and I know your heart, and I know you don't mean to be that way, but that's how you're coming across. So tone it down a little." So in that moment, literally my whole body, like all my pride went away, and it just drained out of my feet, and I was scared, and tears started dripping down my face, and I felt completely embarrassed and ashamed of myself. And then I looked back in the conference center, and everybody was in there just doing their thing, right? And I looked in Quentin's eyes, and I was like, "Dude, thank you so much." He's like, "Are you all right, dude? I didn't mean to hurt your feelings." I'm like, "No." I grabbed his hand, and I shook his hand. I was like, "Thank you so much for bringing me to that level of awareness and making me present again," right? And I went back into the conference a different man, and I went in and I sat down like a fucking student, and I put my student hat on, and I put the bullshit aside, and I actually sat down, and I started going up to different tables, shaking people's hands, and I learned so much the second half of that event because I put my student hat on, right? We already know what we know, but we're here to learn something, right? Quentin is actually my video guy. He's right there. Everybody give Quentin a hand. Quentin's a man of God. Dude, I'll call him at night, and sometimes I'll have some stress, and he'll sit on the phone and pray with me. He's an amazing mentor in my life. I actually met Quentin in 2008 on Craigslist. I was buying a camera, and I showed up at his apartment, and I was all scared and shit. It was like my rent money. It was like my last $500. And Quentin, we just met, and he knew exactly how I felt because he had been there. And now through the years, I've watched him get like $100,000 in camera gear. He's a filmmaker. He does all this amazing stuff. We actually filmed a video for Jill's office together, and so check it out on their website. It's sweet. But thank you, Quentin. But remember that lesson about swallowing your pride, or just putting it aside, putting your student cap on. The third P is pressure. Anybody here been under some pressure? Yeah? That's when the breakthrough moments happen, is when your back is against a wall. I know when I'm not under pressure, I'm actually lazy. I'm scrolling on my phone. I can't get my shit together. But when there's a deadline and I'm under pressure, all this stuff happens. It's like Parkinson's law. If you have this much time from the whole stage to get something done, you'll literally procrastinate down to the last 10% and get it all done. Well, that's what happened in my life back in 2011 when I met my wife. So I was so broke, I had no car insurance, and I got sued because I got in a car accident, and an insurance company sued me. And I owed money to attorneys quick every month. And we just got engaged. We were in this tiny one-bedroom apartment. It was miserable. And the winter came because I was used to landscaping and getting an unemployment check. When you have your own business, you're thrown out into the world, just thrown out to the wolves, and you got to figure it out. Everybody here know what that's like. So it's the middle of the winter, and we have an eviction notice on the door, and like 6 days to get out. And I'm literally scrolling online, small business startups under 10,000. No, I don't have 10,000 bucks. Small business startups under 1,000. Then I went to $100, and I could find a few different things. And although window cleaning, the actually cleaning of the windows and like the tools are very, very important, you know, you can start up cheap. I went to Home Depot, and I bought a bucket, a squeegee, a scrubber, and some dish soap. Amen. Amen. I actually went in the dollar store, and I was making my own mix out in the parking lot. Dude, I got peroxide and shit, and I was putting a whole thing in there, and I was all proud of it, and I thought that was the way to do it. But so I went online and I found this forum, and they were talking about ways to sell the services. And basically, for me, it was to lie. And I was bullshitting because I didn't have a choice. I would walk into small businesses, and I'll tell you the whole system that I had, and it worked like a charm. But not at first, though. So I walked in. I was like, can I please speak with the owner? And whether the owner was there or not, I found a way to exchange contact information and sell my services. Sometimes I could get to the owner, and I would be like, hi, my name is Keith. I own a local window cleaning service. Do you currently have anybody who cleans your windows? And they always said the same thing. Oh, yeah, we already got a guy. We're busy. I was like, but your windows are dirty. Where's the guy at? They're lying to me. And I would stand there to the point where they would get frustrated, and then I would leave. So after doing this for a few days, I was going home with no money in my pocket and scared. It was freezing winter, and literally my fingertips were freezing. I was in this old piece of shit truck with 300,000 miles on it and rust all over it, and I was terrified. I came home again, and I looked at that slip on the door. Now we had like 3 days to get out. Something happened, and I snapped. I realized when my back was totally against the wall, and I was under a lot of pressure, I had no choice. This was time to quit being a victim and be a victor. The next morning I woke up. I went out at 7 o'clock in the morning, the freezing cold, with the bucket, the scrubber, the squeegee. I had this little shitty extension pole, and there was after time, there was rust all over it. I didn't know anything about the professional tools at that time, but I went door to door to door, and I would not be denied. I literally marched in. I was like, my name is Keith. I own a local window cleaning business, and your windows are dirty. I'll clean them right now for 15 bucks. They're like, no, thanks. No, I'm telling you, why are your windows dirty? This is a place. Don't you guys serve food? I'll clean them literally right. Okay, boom, 15 bucks. And I had like a little receipt book from the dollar store, and I wouldn't take no for an answer. I literally went into this Chinese carry-out place, and it was like, yes, what do you want to order? And I'm like, oh, sorry. The political environment. I love Chinese people, by the way. I'm just having some fun. Can I say anything anymore? And I'm like, I'll clean your windows for $12. They were literally filthy. And they're like, no, we don't want none. And I was like, I wouldn't take no for an answer. So I just literally started cleaning the windows, and now they're arguing with me. And then they went out and they gave me $5. And now I had 20 bucks. So I did that all day, and I had this card system where I took everybody's business card, and I put a number 1 if I cleaned the windows, a circle with a number 2 with a pen if they were hot, but I didn't clean them yet. 3 if it was like, and then 4 was definitely a no. And I had this whole system of these cards, but I went up sun up till sundown until I couldn't even stand it, 2 days in a row in 48 hours. And I didn't even realize after a couple weeks, because as soon as I got home, I was literally getting on the phone, calling them, bugging the shit out of these people to clean their windows. I needed to pay my rent. I didn't care what it took. They had a problem, I had the solution. So within that 2-week period, I realized that insane drive I had to not get evicted and put my wife and my little dogs out, literally, she'd end up back living at her mom's house, and I'd probably be in the fucking basement. And I've been there before. I wasn't going back to that. Now that I was getting married, I sold 42 accounts in 48 hours and built an entire window cleaning business off the ground. And I couldn't believe that I did it. Next thing you know, it was all cash. I wasn't paying any taxes. And I was literally coming home with, $100 to $200 to $300 in my pocket. And I didn't know my worth back then. All I knew is I needed to get the bills paid. I didn't know any of this existed. And we got the rent paid, and we got it done. And having my back against the wall that time, that literally changed my life. The 4th P is persistence. There's a saying that I love, and it's sometimes you got to have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough. I love to read audiobooks. Anybody here listen to audiobooks? Nice. So you can get a subscription to audible.com for like 20 bucks a month, and you get these credits, and you can literally stand on the shoulders of giants while you're working, while you're running your business. And I don't have as much time today to listen to audiobooks because, constantly running the business, but I was able to listen to and read like 475 audiobooks. Those things changed my life, and having a breakdown to have a breakthrough really, really hit me. There's this book by David R. Hawkins called Power versus Force, and they actually measure the calibration between like shame and suffering and fear and guilt and anger all the way up to like pride, and then you move into love, unconditional love, and then peace, and they vibrate at different levels. So when you're in toil and when you're suffering and you're in anger and you're trying to get it together, you're literally stuck. There's this glass ceiling that's really low, and you're stuck in this energetic vibration that's so low that you can't break out of this thing. And sometimes you have to have a breakdown in order to surrender, to have a breakthrough. And I'll explain my breakthrough. Anybody here know who Joshua Latimer is? All right, I'm going to tell you about Joshua Latimer. He's a guy who started a window cleaning business, and he has a wife and 5 kids, but they lived in a mobile home, and he would strap a big ladder to the top of this like little 1991 red Cavalier, and he would park down the street because he was embarrassed that his customers would see his car. And he built a window cleaning business to over, $150,000 a month. And he had like 20 employees, and he did it all literally from scratch. And this guy became a coach, and he became a mentor to me. And I became friends with this guy back in 2016, and he changed my life. You can look him up online. So I was out there hustling and scrambling, landscaping and window cleaning, day in, day out. Literally, anybody here work 80, 90 hours a week before? To the point where you're literally getting home from work, you have just enough energy to eat dinner, not be present with your family, shower, go to bed, and go back to work. And this goes on for months. That's all you know is the hustle, and you feel like you don't have a choice. Like your business now becomes this job, and it becomes the worst job ever because you're accountable for everything. Well, I wasn't being present with my family. I wasn't being present, especially with my wife, and I had this huge excuse. It's because I have this business. Now, for me, when I started my business, it was plugged into my nervous system. This fight or flight mode thing is where the amygdala fires and you're stuck in fight or flight mode. You're constantly in anxiety, you're running your business in reactive mode, and you can't get to the place where you're actually just chilling, having fun. So, I'm friends with this Joshua Latimer guy, and he's got this successful family and successful business, and sometimes at night we're on the phone and he's kind of coaching me, and he's helping me out tremendously. Well, I come home from work one day, my wife is standing in the driveway crying, and she's ready to leave. Like she wants to go back to her mom's, she's throwing the D word around, we've been getting a lot of fights lately, and I still have this massive excuse that I can't find the time to spend with her because I have to build this business and pay these bills, pay off this debt, pay off these attorneys. But even though I had actually paid off a lot of the bills and the attorneys, I was still in that survival mode, and I still wasn't being present with my wife. So we had gotten in enough fights, and at some point I snapped. I felt so unworthy. I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. I never wanted to consider that, getting a divorce. It was totally out of the question for me, but when you go through enough pain long enough with somebody that you're supposed to love, you get to that point. And so there I am, I'm in my truck, and I have my most valuable belongings with me, my cash. I have my safe with my silver bars, because I knew she would take that shit. And I literally have like my landscaping tools and all that, and it's the middle of July, and I'm driving, sitting in traffic, completely void of energy and depressed because I'm like seriously about to get a divorce, and my whole life is flashing before my eyes. This is the first time I actually packed my shit. And And this weirdest thing, Joshua Latimer calls me in that moment, and I'm on the phone with him. He's like, what's going on, Keith? I'm like, you want to know the truth? And I told him. He goes, what? Like, this is, if you ever meet Josh, this is how he talks. If you say something that's out of line to him, he will literally talk to you like you're fucking crazy. I'm serious, dude. He's the dude, he's the nicest guy in the world, but he will put your ass in line in 2 seconds. And he's like, what? You're out driving with you, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know, man. This isn't working. He's like, bro, your wife, she doesn't want you to leave. What are you talking about? I'm like, she told me to get the fuck out. And he's like, she just wants you, man. She just wants to be with you. The only reason you guys are fighting so much and she's so upset is because she just wants your presence. She wants your love. She wants your attention. And I'm like, well, I can't give that to her because I don't have the time. And Josh would say these things that were so amazing about how sometimes these entrepreneurs, because he coaches tons of them, they will actually end up getting a divorce, and he'll get on the phone with grown-ass men who will literally give him excuses talking about, well, she doesn't know what I did and how hard I worked and I gave everything. And he says, and it's all bullshit. It's like this victim story that we create as men. And I'm not saying anybody here, I'm saying what I was doing. And then basically to sum it up, he told me about date night. I'm like, date night? What's that? He goes, once a week, every single night. I mean, once a week at night, you have this thing called, date night. It's one night out of the week, and you spend that with your wife. You guys pop popcorn, watch Netflix, cuddle up on the couch, eat dinner, make love, play games, have fun. I was like, date night? So I like, he somehow talks me into seeing my marriage as this beautiful opportunity, and I literally turn the truck around, and I'm driving back. I pull up in the driveway. Now I'm a changed man, right? I look and all my shit's in the truck. I'm like, I just packed all this. Because I used to storm and get pissed. You ever storm out and you start grabbing your fucking laundry and all your shit out of the closets? You're like, I'm fucking done, I'm leaving. It's like the ultimate statement. And it was me just trying to get a reaction out of her. But anyways, I walk back in the house and she thought I was gone. And I walk in the house with a totally different look on my face. And she looks at me and she smirks. She's like, what are you doing back here? I'm like, I want to do date night. So we tried it. We locked down Tuesday nights, every single Tuesday night. But it didn't work at first. The first Tuesday night, we're going out to eat at a restaurant. I just got off work. I got a million things going on. The phone is ringing off the hook. I had no hours of operation. And now I'm in the car. I felt like I was locked in the car with her, being forced to go do this date night thing. And I wanted to literally jump out of the fucking car because I felt like I couldn't do it. It was this excuse. And we got in a couple fights, but then we locked this thing in. And we have consecutively, aside from maybe if we're like out of town or something, we have consistently had date night for 5 years in a row now, every single Tuesday night. And it's been the foundation and change of our marriage. And I even follow up with Joshua Latimer. He said, no. Date night is something you look forward to. Forward to. I'm like, wait a second. So now I have the perfect excuse to work my ass off all week. So then when Tuesday evening comes, I can shut my phone off. And now I find myself, I'm so excited about date night that on Tuesday nights, we're literally watching Netflix, we're going out to eat, we're popping popcorn. We've watched so many funny movies. We actually watched all the Indiana Jones series again, and we rub each other's feet on the couch, and I'm totally in love with my wife and totally happy, and I really believe that's the foundation of a healthy marriage is that time, and I'm very thankful for that. And my wife's actually, is she back there? Oh, did she disappear on me? But I believe that's very, very important when it comes to running a business, is the personal life not blending in to where there's literally no boundaries, because you can get messed up quick. So it took that breakdown for me to have that breakthrough. And here's the next breakthrough. You know, real quick, is anybody here married? Raise your hands. Nice. I'm not calling anybody out, but I would just really like to say, really take a mental note of that and document that, because it's a game changer and it's a life changer. One other thing to add, does anybody here have children? Nice. I don't have any yet, I have dogs. But I will have children one day soon. Joshua Latimer also does this thing, he has kids like Maverick and Tucker, so he does Maverick Monday and Tucker Tuesday. So once a week, he spends at least 1 hour of incomplete, undivided presence and attention with each of his people in his family every night of the week. I'm like, dude, you're like the most amazing dad ever. But it's really not that hard, and it's huge and foundational. So the next breakdown that I had was not knowing my worth and putting now my clients before myself. By 2017, I fell into a deep depression where I was literally lying in bed every day after work. And I literally went and looked in my eyes in the mirror, and I thought that I was dying and starting to pass away. And I'm like, maybe I already fulfilled my purpose in this life, and I'm literally gonna die. It was bad. And I realized it was because I had no energy, because I was putting all my clients and everybody and everything. I just wanted to help people, but I wasn't aware that there was a deep underlying feeling of guilt coming from unworthiness and stemming from a broken childhood, a broken home, growing up in poverty, living on food stamps. I actually was terrified of becoming successful because I was terrified it would make me a bad person, or that people that I grew up with or people in my family would judge me. Anybody have that or share that? Okay. So I'm standing in the kitchen with her. We get in another fight. And we don't actually even fight that much, maybe like once a month. But she brought this thing to my attention, my wife Ashley, and she says, she's like, what about us? We're stuck in this little tiny condo now. We still don't have a house. And I'm going around helping all these people on social media. I'm up on the phone late at night, and I'm constantly giving of myself to the point where I'm not giving back to my own family. I'm like, I was afraid to do it. And at the heat of this argument, she screamed at me. And I used to kind of put my head in the sand about that. She literally started just fucking screaming at me into the kitchen until I got it, and I'm in tears again. And then I saw it, and I realized, oh my God, I'm putting everybody before myself out of this crazy thing. And I flipped and did a 180, and then I became obsessed with healthy boundaries and telling people no, hours of operation, qualifying clients, raising all my prices. Like, I took this leap. I was like, oh my God, I'm already dead. My business is going nowhere. So I literally started raising the prices as high as I could possibly, and just taking these leaps of faith. And I always had this goal. I'm like, if I get $50,000 in the bank, I'll feel safe. And I did it. The final P is power. That's number 5. And that's when you move from a place of feeling like you're not worthy, of being completely worthy. You move to a place of power, and that's where you're fucking getting it. This thing happens, this worth rises up inside you, and now nothing is impossible for you. Who here is in that place? Is anybody here in that place where you're just crushing it? Who here is crushing it? Nice. So after going through all that, and finally realizing my worth, my income doubled in 2020, and I started making more money than I had ever made in my life. And it wasn't about money, it was about worth. The two were directly tied to one another. I never knew that your self-worth and your belief in yourself is directly tied to your income and your socioeconomic strata. It's definitely those two things. And the more my self-worth went up was the more that my income went up, and the more that my business grew, and the healthier my life got. So, know your worth. Know your what? You know your what? Exactly. At this second part, we have gotten, I want to talk about social media marketing and how we've gotten 30 million views online. I just crossed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we've built this entire marketing syndication method where we have virtual assistants now in the business. Basically, the marketing is automated, and I still have some work to do with my service business because I'm very, very much in love with the media side. But I want to go to a Q&A, and I want to know if anybody needs any help or wants to learn anything or wants to discuss about how to automate the marketing in your business as far as video content and YouTube, or does anybody here want to start a YouTube channel or film their job sites or put videos out? Anybody? So how do you start the YouTube and create a list and video idea, content, topics, and start publishing it? Now, is this for your clients to see, for marketing your business, for internally for employees?
Internally for employees.
For training?
Training.
Okay, so I would start a YouTube channel if you want to train your employees. And there's something really interesting. There's a guy named Brandon Vaughn. Who here knows him? All right, Brandon is awesome, and I'm friends with Brandon. And so I started this whole YouTube channel and put out literally thousands of videos that have gotten millions of views online. But Brandon did something very interesting with his business, as far as I'm aware, did this whole internal video training process. So he did all of that, but internally for his internal customers, which are his employees. And there's two ways you can do that. And one is for free, the other one is paid. If you have a training program, you want to train your employees, you can use something like ClickFunnels or Kajabi, Udemy, Thinkific, any of these online course creation websites. You can subscribe for $60 to $100 a month or more, and then build it all in there. But on YouTube, if you want to do that, that's pretty smart. I'm glad you brought that up. So there's two different types of YouTube. There's YouTube, but you can have public or you can have a private channel that basically you don't want all your clients to see. So how you would do that is you would not put all the SEO of your business and the business location, the address, and anything that would show up in Google algorithm so your clients don't see it. Or you can make it just an unlisted list. So you can actually do all of this on a mobile device right on your phone. Download the YouTube app, the YouTube Creator Studio app, and then create a curriculum based on pillars. So I don't know the ins and outs of your business, but if you have pillars of education, you can have, let's see, there's marketing, administration, productivity, and systems. So if you're on productivity and you're doing employee training out in the field and you're filming the videos, you would have, if one of your lead techs are training an employee, you could have even the employee sit there and film the lead tech teaching the employee how to do the window cleaning or the power washing, and just literally talk the whole process out. And then title that video underneath that pillar of marketing, administration, of productivity, right? So that's training out in the field. So when you build out the curriculum or you build out the mind map, you can actually, I whiteboard all this stuff out when I create online content. And then I create a bunch of boxes. Now you can put those on a YouTube list. It's called a playlist, and you do that on a laptop. And call that laptop, out in the field or tech training specifically. And then you can literally speak it all out and do it all with an iPhone. I mean, once you build up this content library and it's there and you flesh it all out, you can go back in and look at it and see where you need to check it and adjust it, and maybe you'll have to refilm something. But once you build that out on YouTube, and you can talk to me after, I mean, that's a phenomenal genius idea for training employees, because now they can actually take it on their mobile device just sitting there. You can hand them an iPad. But what I like about that versus getting like a Kajabi account, which is an online course, is you can have assessments and quizzes. You can download, they could have PDF downloads and have an actual curriculum-based training. By the time they're done with it, they have full comprehension of how to do the thing. So, okay. Any other questions? Yeah, the number one thing that you would want to put in a social media post to boost your SEO that all actually ties back to, so what's the demographic and the psychographic of your customer avatar? What's the conversation that's going on in their head? So if they're cold, you would talk to them in a general way. But if they're hot and you're looking for somebody that has a pain, that a problem they're ready to solve and they're ready to buy, depending on who you're marketing that, that content to, in front of which audience, is how you would change the messaging, right, in that social media post. So if it's a previous client or it's the hot time of year, you could literally come out with an offer and say, buy this thing or hire us for this service, and have an urgency and an offer that says, valid for 30 days, or this is a coupon, buy now, click here. The more plain and simple it is, the better. But on the back end of the SEO is the keyword research. You can get an app by Neil Patel, it's called Uber Suggest. We actually do keyword research now for everything that we post. And you can look and you can see the density and weight of each individual keyword of what you're saying. So like for me on YouTube, if I can find a way to use the word business or insurance, words like attorney, agency, these specific words hold a lot of weight in SEO. So you have $5 words, which are like, let's see. Fish is a $5 word, but shark is a $100 word because it makes people respond, and it's more specific than fish. Fish is general, shark is specific. So when you have specificity and compound words like window cleaning, for me it would be Macomb is my county. So you have organic and you have paid. If you're paying for the traffic and you're posting it like Facebook ads, then it doesn't matter as much. You want to go directly into the psychology of what's going to make the customer click and respond for a high click-through rate. But if you're dealing with organic, then you have to do keyword research and actually go and create a Google Doc and make lists of your top highest performing keywords. If you have 100 of them, do the 80-20 rule and take the top 20% and try to use those the most. And that's a good way to start for beginners. Uber Suggest is a good tool for that. Does that answer your question? Okay, awesome. I like what you said for advertising your business. So this is something potentially you want your clients to see. And you said you spent like 12 hours making a video, and that is a long time. Now, in my experience, if you're making, because there's different types of content, there's off the cuff where you just take your phone out and you just talk and walk and you press upload and you share your experience live on the spot. That's all actually very valuable. Then the higher level content is top shelf, where you're spending a lot more time with the editing, B-roll, maybe even voiceovers. You're doing nice little cuts. You're doing this very beautiful footage where you're panning around what you're doing. You might fly a drone up. If you're using different cameras and drones, that can get so complex so quickly that now you can spend 12 or 40 hours shooting a video. We spend about 12 hours per video that we make on my YouTube channel. And you can also outsource that on Upwork.com by hiring editors to edit it all for you. So if your time is worth $250 an hour or something, and you guys are spending, or you're spending 12 hours editing a video, in my opinion, you're better off just hiring somebody on Upwork for $20 an hour. Like I have an editor in Russia, and I have a whole team, a social media team doing all this for me now, because, and I love editing, but if you do want to do it, there's plenty of apps like Adobe Premiere Pro. If you're on Mac, Final Cut Pro. I edit videos on my phone, on Android, on Power Director Studio. If you have an iPhone, it's called iMovie Maker. I mean, my wife shoots these amazing videos with B-roll and sound and all these things, and she's literally doing it all on her phone. And at night, she kicks her feet up. She's like, I got to get this video out. And she's sitting there, edits it on the phone, and puts it out. But I think in your position, 12 hours is too long, only because I want to juxtapose and say that Quentin taught me this last night. Okay, so if you're just uploading to YouTube, you can literally take your phone out on a property if you have client permission, which we always do, and you can say, hey, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so services. And I just want to show you we're cleaning this commercial property right now, and we're in this city and in this town because the YouTube algorithm is listening to every single thing you're saying on top of the keywords, and it's documenting that and indexing it. So you want to speak the keywords as well. And you can literally just do, who's the Kaboom guy who's sold, he's the amazing sales guy with a Kaboom cleaner. I'll think of his name in a minute. He was an amazing marketing guy. But he would show you what's called results in advance. So if you literally point the phone at guys' water-fed pole, cleaning windows, before, after, hard water, stain removal, power washing, and you show it, you don't really have to say shit. You don't have to sell anything. I'm so-and-so, here you go. We make dirty stuff clean. We're right here in your area. We're the highest rated and reviewed business. Click the link in the description below. We'll give you a free quote, and we'll come out to your property. You can do that same video over and over and over. You can put it on social media, you can boost it, and it didn't take any production value aside from that, and it's going to be powerful. But what Quentin taught me literally yesterday, the pro videographer guy here, he makes amazing content. If you have something living on the front of your website, like Greg here showed me, everybody go look at Greg's website. He has this commercial. It looks like it costs 20 grand to film. It's this amazing cinematic window cleaning business commercial for his business. And I watched this thing, I was like, my mouth just dropped. Quentin taught me if something like that is going to be on your website for, probably years, you're going to want to invest. Excuse me. Throat's dry. You're going to want to invest literally, maybe thousands of dollars to have a company put that out there. So depending on where the video is going to be, it's very important to make sure that you're properly positioning your business. But if it's just going up on YouTube, man, just get it out there. The more, the better, the faster. Any more questions?
Where can I find that video?
Greg's the one I was talking about?
I think it's on my website.
PleaseCleanMyWindows.com. Take a look at Greg's website. It's amazing. It's actually, the fundamentals are the same. They'll always be the same. But the methods and modalities are completely different now than they were 15 or 10 years ago. And because back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, people were just posting things on social media like corporate companies and businesses, not understanding the market and kind of like just blindly posting things to get engagement. And you've seen these companies that have business pages, like every 48 hours something is posting, it's not getting any engagement. It could be on LinkedIn, and it's boring and it sucks. And this is the biggest takeaway of that is I believe you have to have a personality now on social media. It could be you, or it could be one of your lead techs who likes doing that. This is like super important. When you have a personality, selling the business and just being yourself, that's what's going to authentically pull in and make the customers lock in and gravitate and listen, because they want to see a person. So they come for the information, or they come to get the service or what they need, but then they'll return because they like you. And some people are afraid to be on camera. Some are frankly terrified. But there's a guy named Ben Stein who made he became famous being the most boring guy in the world. If you're boring on camera, you literally could be a rock star to your clients because you're exactly what they're looking for. So just be yourself with the volume turned all the way up. And I challenge you to take your phone out, just start posting it and trying it. Even if you're scared, press the upload button and it'll work. So literally, I think find that person to start posting and create a personality on the camera and do that. And that'll get way more engagement than just making a bunch of random posts to promote your business. You're saying if you have somebody in your company who becomes the social media guy and he becomes a rock star, he or she, and starts bringing in a bunch of leads for the business, rewarding them in some way or moving them up. There's a guy, Tussy Landscaping. He's a great guy. I'll think of his name in a minute here. He actually became that guy, and I met him at Aquascape, this event. And he literally builds ponds and water features for, he works at a company, But he was so good and so obsessed with social media. When you go on Tussie Landscaping's YouTube channel and on their website, there's these beautiful, epic cinematic videos. He's literally got clients signing forms, and some of the clients will sit down and they have professional lighting, and they'll interview the clients with professional microphones. And he'll literally prop up like a director's chair, and he'll sit in front of this, on a property and tell the story about that property, tell the story about the project and everything, beginning to end. And while he's talking, there's this beautiful B-roll footage and drone footage telling all about it. And each and every video is like a commercial. And I don't know how he's compensated, but every time I see him, he's smiling and shit. Right. And because part of him, he must love doing that. But I would like to find that out and get back with you, because that's a huge question for how do you reward somebody if they become a rock star in your business, helping with all the media, because that's a major role. It's a marketing position. There was another question, and I missed you. What's up? Yeah, so he asked, he's been watching some marketing gurus talk about how LinkedIn is a kind of a blue ocean. A hotspot. And even though I do post on LinkedIn, I don't specialize in it. I know we do post on there semi-regularly, and they're opening up all these new features like LinkedIn stories, and I think you can go live now. And so the engagement is higher, because what these social media platforms will do is they'll open up new features and they'll make it easy to get a lot of traffic. Their algorithm opens up so you can get more exposure, so it becomes a blue ocean, kind of like they did with TikTok. I had a friend posting on TikTok, and he was getting like 500,000 views per video just posting random crap, which it really didn't benefit him and his business. But something like LinkedIn, yeah, but I think that's why, but I don't know, because I don't have the time to be on there like that. And the type of content that I post isn't really something I want on LinkedIn. But I think because of where your client base is, LinkedIn would be huge. Like less Instagram, no TikTok, no Snapchat. Facebook and LinkedIn would be huge for that. And writing well-worded blog posts, articles, and then posting them on LinkedIn for your clients to follow that cookie trail to get them onto your website if they're a potential customer, yeah. How do you motivate and encourage your staff to post videos? So nobody that works for me does any of that. I do it myself, but I have like 8 virtual assistants helping me do that, and they're posting and chopping up content for me all the time. And what I found was when I hire people, because I've probably been through, 30 virtual assistants. And I've even, Kurt Kempton here, I've called him up on Voxer, Kurt from Responsibid, and I was asking his advice about virtual assistants at one time, and he gave me a ton of great advice. Thanks, Kurt. But some people, if they don't like doing it and that's not what they do, they're never going to do it. And if you force them to do it or try to coerce them to do it, they might do it for a minute and then they'll stop doing it. I think it's about finding people who love doing that and they're so excited about doing it that you literally have to pump the brakes on them and help guide them and curve them what type of content to post and not post, and just let them go at it. The virtual assistants that I found on Upwork.com that helped me with marketing my business, I mean, they post so much stuff. Sometimes they post stuff I don't even like, and I have to create all these rules and boundaries for them. So go on Upwork.com and hire a virtual assistant to help you post if you can't find somebody on your staff to do it. And I promise you, while you're at an event like this, or you're out selling jobs, or you're doing the books in your business, and then you turn on social media for your business, you're like, oh my God, my virtual assistant posted 2 awesome things today, and my other virtual assistant is writing a new article, and this one is posting this. You're like, yes. And you can literally get them for like 12, 15 bucks an hour. So, next question. It does, but the amount of subscribers, let me check my timer. I got a couple minutes left, right? So the amount of subscribers that you have and all that stuff and traffic, it doesn't matter as much as just speaking specific messaging and solving problems for a very specific demographic of people, and we're getting more narrow instead of wide, because everything else is kind of a vanity metric. It's like having a huge business with a bunch of revenue, yet your profit margin is not even worth it, So But you can, and it is very important, especially on like Facebook. If somebody comes on your Facebook and it's in your local area, they happen to come on the Facebook and they see that you have 3,300 likes or local people following you and saying good things, then that's very important to get a ton of followers in your local area, because now you have social proof. If they come and only 3 people like it or are reviewing it, they might get kind of weary because there's no social proof. So somebody in my position, if you see I have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, I mean, it speaks for itself. They're like, okay, a bunch of people who have voted and said, I like this guy's content, I might stick around and watch it. But if they go to another video, here's a good thing. If somebody sends you, if you look up a video, a topic, you want to learn about something, and there's 2 videos that pop up on the internet. One has like 313 views, and the other one has 1.3 million views. Which one are you going to watch? The one that has more views, right? So the same thing goes in your business. The more that you can get, now obviously you wouldn't have it on that type of level, but it is important, but not to the point where you're going to be spending tremendous amounts of money or time or effort to get it. It's not worth it. Next question. The question is, how do you track all of this, and how do you make money with it instead of just videos like a bunch of high school kids are watching? How do you turn this into a campaign? And so I know on my YouTube channel, I literally just got a lead that came in, hey, I saw your YouTube videos and we want a quote. I mean, that's cool and that works, but more specifically with the YouTube channel, I would dial it in specifically as your business channel and put rails up on the messaging, and you're there to market your business, promote it, and make money. And every single video is going to have a pitch, it's going to have an offer, it's going to have a phone number on the screen, click the link below to sign up. And so that means that, the other 99% of the people that stumble on it, unless they're doing market research, they'll probably just bounce. And that's what you're saying. Come here if you're a potential client, or bounce. And when you use that YouTube video to share it also on social media for inbound marketing, that's the way. Now, you have analytics inside of YouTube. You can see the age group and demographic of people watching. You can see how long they've watched. You can see the retention. You can see literally what state they're watching in. And I think when they update, you'll be able to see what city and get more and more specific to see. Now, it doesn't have the type of tracking like a Google Analytics would, but you can also ask customers, how did you hear about us? Did you see our YouTube video? And track all that inside of your CRM. But also, if a higher question is it worth it? I'd say it's definitely worth it, because if you shoot high quality videos that you also have on your website and on YouTube, it's more places that you can repurpose and syndicate, which I mean is chop up and share that message. So you could take that same video that's on YouTube and you can share it on IGTV, you can share it on LinkedIn, you can share it on Facebook natively, upload that same video to 5 different platforms, and now you've just repurposed that video 5 times for 5 times the leverage. So it's definitely worth it from that aspect. Now, is that regarding to like a blog? How important is it for putting the keywords in the content? So there's an amazing book on this by R.L. Adams, and I've listened to all these on audible.com as well. He wrote an amazing book called Seo Blackbook. You got to listen to that. It'll teach you so much about today's current marketing and what's going on with the entire back-end SEO. There's another book called SEO for Bloggers, and it talks about white hat and black hat marketing, keyword density. So if you do this research and put all the keywords of your business, your services, the city, the state, the zip code, the type of clients you serve, and you put this in an article and you post it online, if you're using those keywords too much, I think it's between 1 and 3% keyword density. So you want it to sound extremely natural, as though it was professionally written in a conversational tone that's very legible and easy to read. If you're keyword stuffing and putting too much of that in there, trying to hack the system, Google's algorithm will actually demote you in the search engine, in the SERPs, which is the search engine ranking page. It'll demote you and it'll crush your ass for trying to cheat the system. So you do the keyword research, and you make sure you very conversationally, lightly place it. Google is now rewarding people for putting user experience as #1. So on any authority domain site, like your website or anything linking in and out of the top sites, social media like Facebook, when you have great content that people respond to and they engage in, they like, they answer back, or they pick up the phone, they click a button, they do an action because the user experience is so good and the messaging is so good, Google rewards that now over any amount of keywords or little tips or tricks or hacking. So, and you do that by telling stories on social media, case study testimonials of like a happy client who is that you interviewed, you write an article about, and showcase their project. When customers come inbound and they look at that and they see this blog article and your business, and they're like, oh my God, this is a great business. They have this article, this publication, happy customers. It just gives you more leverage and makes you show up higher organically on Google. Yeah, I don't know that answer. And I do agree that Google's always updating. They had the Google Slap, the Panda, the Penguin, and the Hummingbird algorithm updates. And the question being, do you put keyword-rich answers when you're answering to customers that are leaving positive reviews? Do you go and answer with that as well? And my best inclination would be right now to say no, that it doesn't have any effect. But I don't think it does from all the research that I've done, and they might change that in the future. And then important to respond to reviews. Yes, obviously respond to every single review and make sure there's no reviews not being responded to. Yeah. From what I've studied, it's diplomatic and acknowledging, or you can agree and amplify. Like, well, I don't want to be an asshole, but it's diplomatically, just like you see these corporate companies doing, I'm sorry that you had inconvenience, please reach out to us, we would like to make it right type stuff. And everything I've also learned, so we have the highest rated and reviewed landscaping and window cleaning business independently in our city. And not that we're the best, it's just that I understand marketing and SEO and how to do that. But I remember getting a couple bad reviews, and one time it was I think my pride was in the way. I overbooked myself, and some customer sounded a little too young to be hiring us for our services. And I thought it was kind of like, I don't know, I didn't know how to qualify. So the time came to show up to give him a quote. I would never do this now. And I just sent him a text. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I have to cancel because X, Y, Z. I literally I underestimated a client. And then next thing I know, I got this horrible negative 1-star review, and now my heart's racing, and I'm calling the guy back, apologizing, and he deleted the comment, but the 1-star stayed forever. But yeah, I could totally agree with what you're saying. But dude, how many positive 5-star reviews do you have? If you look at that and juxtapose it to a couple negative ones, like especially restaurants, I mean, you can point out somebody who's a complainer in 2 seconds, and it takes the people that want to hire you, and they're like, look at that victim alert, and they'll want to hire you even more. So sometimes negative reviews can help you because it makes people polarize on what they believe in even more, you know? Next question. Yeah, so he was asking me how Google rewards user experience as being #1 to pump you up the SERPs. And was he saying, is that on Google or social media? What's going on? So Facebook, Instagram, Facebook owns Instagram, YouTube, or Google, the Google God, right? They all have their own completely different algorithms that are independent to their specific domain, their website. So, but it applies to each and every single one because that's how far we've evolved now with SEO. So user experience wins on Facebook. It also wins if you're on YouTube. And it also wins if you're just on Google. But how do you get it on Google? That's everything that's on your website as an indexed domain. So there's something called Google crawlers. And they're literally it's a software, it's a code that's crawling everything. Every time you update and post something on your website, or you link out to Facebook, or you link back to your website and you're building backlinks, these crawlers come by and they scan your page and they're looking for these updates and reading everything and indexing it on where it should go, where it should be. Imagine that there's a monster library with like billions of books, from history to science fiction to A through Z, everything that you put on the website that you're typing in or sharing or photos is constantly being indexed in that library. So you actually have full control of what Google's doing. And that same thing goes for Facebook, just in a smaller way. Does that make sense? If you guys have any more questions about the SEO thing, do check out R.L. Adams, and the books are SEO Blackbook and SEO for Bloggers. You can listen to it while you're out running your business or during the day. You will learn so much about the marketing and SEO. But I do encourage everybody, if you haven't, start a YouTube channel. I encourage you, I challenge you to take your phone out, even if you can sometime during this week here, and make that first video for your business. Just introduce yourself and tell the story of how you started your business and how many happy clients you have, and upload that thing and rock it out. We good? We good? Thank you. Thank you, IWCA. Thank you, Greg.